Well, it's 6:30. You're live here on GHOne TV. It's now time for News Tonight with me, Natalie. For a look at our top stories. Some MPs share mixed reactions about President Akufo-Addo's delivery of how his government has fared within the last 8 years in his final State of the Nation address. Also coming up, Institute for Education Studies challenges President Akufo-Addo's claim of 5.7 million people benefiting from free SHS, describing it as inaccurate on multiple levels. Also ahead this evening, security analyst reveals President Akufo-Addo's utterances on security in the West African bloc have affected Ghana's image. Anti-graft campaigner Adam Senanu urges incoming Mahama administration to reopen corruption cases against Akufo-Addo appointees which were not dealt with thoroughly. And ahead in business, President Akufo-Addo touts gains made in the economy and rebound, claiming Ghana is not broke. We bring you the details of these stories and much more news here on News Tonight's Tuesday. Well, let's settle down for the details now. Wherever you are in the world, you can watch this bulletin live on Facebook and X at GHOne TV. Top on the news this evening, mixed reactions have been expressed after President Akufo-Addo's delivery of his final State of the Nation address in Parliament. While some individuals say President Akufo-Addo deserves a pat on the back, some NDC members of Parliament have called it an empty rhetoric.
Honourable Speaker, this abysmal record was confirmed on December 7th when the people of Ghana returned the most overwhelming and emphatic vote of rejection of any government ever witnessed under the Fourth Republic. Mr. President, you will be remembered as the first president who was cushioned by the IMF when you began, and you are still being cushioned at the end of your term. Mr. President, you left something very important in your account. You left out an account of your promise to God to build him a cathedral. But Mr. President, Mr. President, I will leave that for you, between you and your God.
I wish them well, but the reality, we'll see. 8 January schools are reopening, right? University first year students are going. We'll see whether Mr. Mahama will fulfill his promise of paying their school fees so that they go to university. You saw them and heard them chanting or the assembly about 24-hour economy, when in the dying embers of the campaign he himself said that it was not compulsory. We'll see how he creates jobs through the 24-hour economy for all the young men in this country to have jobs. We'll see.
This is the record that Nana Addo Akufo-Addo is leaving us with. Mr. Speaker, posterity will be the utmost judge. And I repeat, soon and very soon, the Ghanaian people will see the true colors of this umbrella. I rest my case. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Today, some of the figures that he was churning out, he himself is aware that they were not truthful, and he was being deceitful. The State of the Nation's address is to tell us the true state of Ghana, and I was shocked that His Excellency the President spoke about security when people were killed at Techiman South, when Ayosu West Wagon is still fresh in our minds, even when he himself set up a commission to investigate it. They submitted their reports. He refused to act upon the reports. When unemployment rate that the president wants us to believe that he's doing something with jobs, Unemployment rate, he took it at 8.4. It is now 17%. There is nothing so positive the president has to tell us. Agenda 111, they have commissioned only 3. But they promised that it was going to be 111. That's what he told us. So I'm saying that when you want to remind us about history, and then I realized that the respectful lawyer was talking about Nkrumah's legacy. You people attempted to destroy Nkrumah's legacy as if we are kids. I'm a political scientist. We still know what they did to Nkrumah.
If it is infrastructure, then the infrastructure king is His Excellency John Evans Atamils, followed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The court complex was initiated and built by the NDC. The court computerization was undertaken, okay, when the Honorable Haruna Idrisu was the Minister of Communications and the Chief Justice was Her Ladyship, Georgina Wood. Okay, I was deeply involved in that because I was the Deputy Attorney General at the time. Okay, so in terms of infrastructure, I don't think they measure up to, our government in providing infrastructure for the judiciary. All right, his legacy as far as the judiciary is concerned is this court packing phenomenon that he has left us. The whole idea that you populate the bench with your partisan hacks, who sometimes step outside the law blatantly in order to rule in favor of the MPP just because, it is the MPP, not because the fairness or the internal morality of the law requires that, a ruling be made in their favor. So for me, that is the legacy.
The outgoing President Nana Akufo-Addo in his final State of the Nation address highlighted the Agenda 111 initiative with several healthcare projects completed and others near completion across over 90 districts as one of his achievements during his 8 years in office. He expressed hope that the next administration would finalize these projects to improve access to quality healthcare nationwide.
This pandemic showed us some of the alarming shortcomings of our health delivery system, and we'll strive to seek remedies to ensure that we're reasonably prepared to meet the next emergencies. The most important intervention is the Agenda 111 project we have embarked upon that aims to place a hospital in every district. Out of the 101 district hospitals, and 2 psychiatric hospitals on the project list, there are 99 district and 2 psychiatric hospitals where contractors are deployed and work is in progress. I'd hope that construction will be completed on all of them, but that, alas, was not to be. I'm pleased to report that on December 5th, I had the utmost pleasure to commission 3 of the district hospitals. Progress of works on the other 98 active sites range from 5% for sites whose work commenced recently to 95% at other sites. I'm hoping that the incoming Mahama administration will ensure that the project is completed to put our health infrastructure on a sound footing. Furthermore, we launched the National Ambulance Services Revitalization Program, increasing the number of ambulances from 55 barely functioning ambulances to over 300, ensuring timely emergency response and saving countless lives.
Now let's stay on this issue a while longer. Kwabena Aidoo is Parliament's ranking member on health, and he joins via phone now for more on this. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, first of all, you have on many occasions previously stated how impossible it is to achieve the Agenda 111 project. Having listened to the President on the number commissioned so far, he says 3 district hospitals commissioned. Do you feel vindicated?
Yes, I feel strongly vindicated, and just like you mentioned right from day one, I had always insisted that we're going to be any 111 hospitals, and that it was very deceptive. If you recall, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama also recently stated that it was too an ambitious project. But you see, if you remember, the last State of the Nation address, His Excellency the President told the people of this country that he said emphatically that he was going to hand over all the 111 hospitals to us before he leaves office. It is quite unfortunate that out of the 111, His Excellency the President reports that only 3 has been completed. And even with the 3, there is no single one Agenda 11 hospital in operation where anybody can go and seek for health care. It is not true. Even the 3 he speaks about, there isn't even a thermometer in any one of them. It's just a brick and mortar. And brick and mortar is not what we call hospital. Hospital is an infrastructure with, medical equipment. So there isn't a single one that is full of medical equipment and has been commissioned. And today, as I speak to you now, you can walk in for medical health care. That's number 1. Number 2, His Excellency the President states that he hopes His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will come and complete the rest. If you take 3 out of 111, you are talking about somewhere 108. The President is not being fair to himself. He's not being fair to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and it's not being fair to the people of this country. Why? When His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was leaving office, all the health infrastructure that was under construction, that was uncompleted, he bequeathed. He left money. There was a dedicated source of funding for all these hospitals, be it NMS project or EOJET project. There were money that when he inherited, he was supposed to use that money to complete them. As I speak to you, the Agenda 111 has been has been estimated to cost us about $1.7 billion US. And there is no single city, not a Peshwa, that has been left behind to complete any of these projects. Not a single city. So, where is he expecting his
the call made by the outgoing president for the incoming president to continue the remaining hospitals it's not feasible. It's not something that is practical.
You can only make that call when you know that you are leaving a dedicated sources of funding for the project. But you yourself, you couldn't even score 3% because 3 over 111 is less than 3%. In 8 years, you were not shy. You were bold enough to tell the people of this country after 8 years, I'm committing 3 hospitals at Agenda 111. And you expect somebody who has 4 years to come and complete the 108. Are you being fair to yourself? Where is the money? And right from day one, he never stopped to complete any hospital. It was political gimmick, and we told you so. And you see, for me, I thought that because this was going to be his last State of the Nation address, he was going to be candid to the people of this country. Unfortunately, he did it again. Look, he spoke about COVID.
So you feel he wasn't candid in what context? I mean, with that being said, what's then your general assessment of his comments with regards to the health sector? He was candid enough to say only 3 of these hospitals have been completed. So where do you feel he was not candid?
Okay. So, number 1, if the president says that he inherited tax and carry national health insurance system, and now he has been regular and they have been paying national health insurance, claims and all that. That is untrue. In 2022, you remember that famous graph I came out with? In 2022, the national health insurance formula, the government didn't release a PESWA to any service provider with respect to 2022 formula we approved in Parliament. That's not true. Look, let me take you to ambulance. He is talking about ambulance services and what have you. I just heard you, your radio play that particular voice. Under the ambulance, we bought 300 ambulances. And out of the 300 ambulances fleet we have, it cost us about $30 million US. Now, to allow your daughter to sign a contract with the government, something that has cost us $30 million, you are maintaining it at a rate of $14 million a year, 1 year. You are spending half of the money you use to purchase 300 ambulances. And I have the contract with me.
You're referring to the ambulances here. I mean, we had the president say that it's been increased from 55 to 300. Is that what you're referring to? What you're making reference to?
That's what I'm referring to. And that you should have given us the full details on ambulances. What he didn't tell us was the fact that he gave a contract to his daughter that was costing the country about $14 million a year on something that is costing us $30 million for all the 300 ambulances. Now, COVID again. If you are talking about the negative effect on the economy by COVID, you should be candid enough to also tell us the policies. Apart from the fact that, look, COVID caused some death and some discomfort to the lives of people in this country, COVID also earned this country about 21 billion Ghana cedis. Where is the money? If we had invested this money very well in our economy, we wouldn't be here talking about the effect of COVID on our economy.
So simply put, for purposes of time, you're saying that the president was not honest entirely with regards to addressing the health sector during his State of the Nation address. He didn't paint a clear picture, is what you're saying.
I think he was very economical with the truth. And I don't blame him because their actual performance in the health sector is abysmal. I mean, nothing to write over. A whole president who has spent 8 years to come and tell you, I have built only 3 hospitals. How can you do this to yourself?
Well, thank you for your time this evening. We'd have to round it up here. Kwabena Aidoo is Parliament's ranking member on health, joining us on that issue, reacting to the President's final State of the Nation address with regards to the health sector. Now, President Aidoo also reflected on his administration's achievements in the education sector, including the promotion of the TVET and STEM to prepare students for future opportunities. He celebrated record-breaking 2023 WASSCE results and the success of the free SHS and TVET programs, which he stated has benefited 5 million young Ghanaians.
We have transformed education, and there can never be a reversal. And there can never be a reversal of the fact that some 5.7 million young people have gained access to secondary education who would otherwise not have had the opportunity but for free SHS and free TVET. Indeed, my administration has also prioritized technical and vocational education and training, TVET, establishing 34 new TVET institutions and upgrading 62 existing ones to equip our youth with 21st century skills. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud that we were brave enough to start the free SHS policy at the beginning of my first term and resisted the calls for a gradual introduction. I'm glad they were removed from the Ghanaian mindset, the belief that secondary school education is only for people from certain households and families. The 2023 WASSCE results stand out as the best in the history of the examination. No amount of shouts will displace data. It will not happen. The data is there.
Well, let's now engage with the Executive Director for iFest, Peter Pate Anti, who has discounted the claims made by the President that some 5.7 million Ghanaians have benefited from free SHS. Good evening to you, Peter. It's good to have you here on News Tonight, and thank you for joining us. Well, this is not the first time that the President Aidoo, has made this specific claim of 5.7 million Ghanaians benefiting from free SHS. During his previous campaigning in the Western region and other platforms, he said over 5.7 million Ghanaians have benefited. But you say it's inaccurate. Why is that the case?
Yes, good evening to your listeners. I think that that number that has been put out several times by the president through the Ministry of Education is highly inaccurate. Now, even before I even go into the numbers, I need to state that under no circumstance can the president say that if not for free senior high school, a number of 5.7 million students would not have accessed secondary education. That is highly not possible. It means that all students, assuming that the number of students in our secondary school is 5.7, it means that all students in our senior high schools and technical institutions are in school because of the free senior high school. Before the free senior high school, people were accessing secondary and technical education. So that in itself, that statement in itself is inaccurate and not is an exaggeration. But let's go and look into the data. We know that we have problems with data in this country. So normally when you are doing some of these things, you do what we call data triangulation. So you check data from WAEC based on BEC people, that students that have sat for BEC over the period, and you see that that data sums up to 4.3 million students. Now you can put that data there, and then you can check from the school placement system. Technically, between this period, a total number of 3.4 million students have been placed in the senior high school within the 2017 to 2024 period that we are looking at, which is highly less than the 5.7 that they are talking about. You can also go into enrollment data from the Ministry of Education's MS website, and that gives you a number of 4.3, around 4.1 million students. In fact, information from the Ministry of Education indicates that there have been a total of 3.1 million students that have benefited from the free senior high school. So if you put all this together, it beats one's imagination where the president gets the number of 5.7 million students from. And I think that is highly an exaggeration that shouldn't be made to happen, and we should not continue to lie with such numbers, because most of the plans that we do around this policy hinges around the number of the data that we are working with. So if we are getting the data wrong, it means that our policy prescriptions are also going to be wrong.
Right, so you say it's an extreme exaggeration coming from the president. Right, now, specifically, what was your assessment generally on the State of the Nation address as it pertains to education? Of course, the president said education technically will not remain the same given the interventions put in place by his administration in TVET and STEM. What's your general assessment of this?
Yeah, that is a fact. In fact, this administration have worked so well with TVET and STEM education. TVET especially, the kind of perception and resources that have gone into promoting TVET education is very, very encouraging. In terms of their certification, it's been streamlined in such a way that now, right from your TVET institute, you can move into your technical university. So for TVET education and a little contribution that I've made in the STEM education, I can say that the administration have done extremely well. And the president also made an assertion that they were asked to introduce free senior high school gradually, which I also think is problematic, because the call was that you cannot introduce free senior high school at a go. And ideally, that is what they did. They introduced free senior high school gradually. They started from SHS1. So in the year 2017, when they introduced free senior high school in September, they did not cover the second years and the third years. So it was gradual approach. The following year, they added another batch. So we had the first years and the second years, but the third years were not covered. Then the next year, they were able to cover all the three. So free senior high school was introduced gradually, and I wonder why he said that they did not adhere to the call for the introduction of free senior high school to be gradual. But I think that there is some gains have been made in the sector. It depends on how the current administration will look or would want to continue with the progress of our education sector. But we should not exaggerate the gains that have been made. No, we shouldn't.
Well, now, Peter, with that being said, yes, the now president-elect, John Dramani Mahama, even prior to the 2020 elections, has spoken extensively about reviewing the free SHS. What specific reviews would you hope to see from where you sit in the education sector?
I think the biggest challenge of the free senior high school policy is funding. and it gladdens my heart that the manifesto of the NDC talks about a plan to find a sustainable fund for the policy. So any kind of review should look at how do we fund free senior high school in terms of infrastructure, in terms of feeding challenges, in terms of decks and teaching resource materials and textbooks and everything. All these hinges on funding, financing, money. So if the government is able to get a sustainable fund to fund the policy, I think that 90 to 99% of the challenges of the policy would be a thing of the past. So I'm looking forward to their consultative assembly on education that they said they would organize. I'm looking forward to us discussing ways and means that will be able to get a sustainable mode of funding for the policy. And when that is done and instituted, I think that some of the issues that we complain about the free senior high school would be a thing of the past. I believe that the receptibility of comments from the stakeholders would also be key in terms of improving the policy. And if the government is not receptive.
Right, if the government isn't receptive to it, I believe Peter was saying there. Peter Party Anti joining us, Executive Director of IFEST, on his reactions to the President's State of the Nation address as it pertains to education. In other news, security analyst Dr. Adam Buah, while commending the government for some strides made in securing the borders of the country, says Ghana has lost integrity in the face of our West African neighbors. He was reacting to assertions by President Akufo-Addo during the State of the Nation address. Now that he mentioned that Ghana remains the only country free of terrorist attacks in the sub-region, a move he commends the Ghana Armed Forces for.
Mess in the ECOWAS bloc. A lot of mess. I mean, I'm telling you because I have been part of various ECOWAS meetings. So I can say this for a fact that the president did a lot of damage within the ECOWAS bloc than one would have expected. Coincidentally, you know, he's allegedly the one who led the members of parliament into the 8th parliament, some soldiers into the 8th parliament.
Yes.
He's the same, I mean, alleged. Yeah, he's the same person. And this president failed to investigate it. The parliament is the third organ of government. Right? It's supposed to be one of the organs of government. Sure. The legislative arm of government. They invaded parliament. Up to today, we don't know who actually asked the military to invade parliament. And he, the aide-de-camp who collapsed, unfortunately collapsed, is the one who led the military. I would wish him well, but some of us are expecting that he would be court-martialed. I'm hoping that he will recover quickly so that when the president exits, he will still be in uniform and be court-martialed, because they're leading military officers into the House of Parliament. And when you ask, none of it. The defense minister said he didn't. The national security minister said he didn't. The interior minister said he didn't. The president himself, I don't know whether he has commented, but who asked them? Who issued that instruction for them to go to the House of Parliament that dawn? He led them, so he will be the one to tell us who asked him and his people to invade Parliament. And so I would wish him well. I mean, it happens. It happens when they stand in the sun. When, I mean, I'm sure maybe he's not feeling well. My sympathies to him, but that notwithstanding, I wish him speedy recovery so that he would face the consequence of going into Parliament with military officers uninvited. When we know that when you go to Parliament, there is a whole police, we have Parliament police, I mean, the usual police. They have a station there, and they deal with all these things. So for them to have gone there, they're done. And up to today, under Nana Aidoo, who is touting his, performance and letting us know he's done well, no one has been punished, and we still don't know who.
Well, still on reactions to the President's final State of the Nation address, member of the AU Board Against Corruption, Senanu, is urging the incoming Mahama administration to reopen corruption cases leveled against appointees of the outgoing Akufo-Addo administration, which were not dealt with judiciously. It comes as President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo today noted that all cases of corruption which have been leveled against his appointees were investigated by independent bodies.
He did give a good record in terms of saying we did legislative and administrative actions that contributed to the fight against corruption. He mentions establishing the Office of the Special Prosecutor, passing the Witness Protection Law, doing an anti-money laundering law, also upgrading the issues of misdemeanor under the criminal code. And then talks about financial support that was given to the police, to the OSP, and to other such agencies, including the Attorney Generals, in order that, and these were increasing amounts. I think to a large extent, all of that, it's a true reflection of actions that were actually taken. And then he referred to how cases of corruption that came up were referred to neutral, independent entities to investigate, and that by and large these were cleared. That for me was not a very good reflection of what transpired, because we're all concerned about how often those reports would end up with him, and then he would give us the feedback that this person or this particular investigation has shown that nobody has been found guilty. I think that I worry that sometimes perhaps the president either is not on top of all the facts himself, or others are feeding him things, or there's an intentional skewing of such results, such that they tend to want to put themselves in a limelight, which is not the reality of the rest of the citizens. So on one hand, yes, they did some actions, and I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. But on the other hand, when it comes to members of his government who were found or suspected of engaging in acts of corruption and the processes that followed that, I don't think that his commentary on that was a reflection of the reality in terms of how Ghanaians feel transpired. There is always a course of action to take to say, look, there's new and further information, as long as the issue is not static bad. So if it's within the period and there's information that suggests that not all the facts were taken on board, I think that these issues should be followed up on. It is because you want to set the standard. You serve notice that we will not tolerate any forms of corruption by whoever at whatever level at any time. And it doesn't matter if there's been some investigation, if there's better particulars that suggest that something has not been properly and thoroughly investigated, they need to be thoroughly investigated so that people don't get away with impunity. The committee itself is not seized with the mandate to do investigation and prosecution. Whatever information they get must be transferred to the relevant independent expert organizations or agencies for them to cross-check, validate these facts and information, and then to make a decision on whether they want to proceed to court on such issues. I think that is a way to insulate, for example, oral. That's a way to protect individuals so that we have professional bodies who are observing the human rights of these individuals and ensuring that the information they are taking to court are substantive enough for them to get a ruling. Otherwise, then yes, we might expose ourselves to situations where it might become like a witch hunt. But in this instance, I think that let's allow professional bodies already set up to do their work to be the ones that do the follow-up, the cross-checking and prosecution where it matters. In 2015-2016, the accusations were against the Mahama government. The MPP rode on the back of a very strong anti-corruption posture. There was euphoria. 2016, we're going to see change. The setup, the law of the OSP Act 959, the appointment of Martin Aidoo for me was an amazing choice. I mean, going across the political divide. And then nothing eventually, by the time we go to a second term, all that euphoria, all that excitement, all that political will seem to.
Watching news tonight here on GHOne TV. Away from the State of the Nation address, the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Ghana is advocating for a policy direction to streamline student intake and enhance infrastructure for quality training. According to the council, heeding to this call will address the issue of large class sizes and improve teaching and learning, ultimately leading to better health care delivery. This call was made during the second anniversary celebration of the Ghana Diaspora Nursing Alliance in Accra.
Established 2 years ago, the Ghana Diaspora Nursing Alliance boasts over 2,000 members, comprising nurses of Ghanaian descent abroad. Speaking on the sidelines of the second anniversary celebration, the Registrar of the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Ghana, Mina Aidoo, highlighted some challenges in the sector and emphasized the need for pragmatic actions to address them.
As of now, the school's training institution takes a lot, which the numbers are so huge. And so we think that there should be a policy. Classroom, at least 50 people in a class should be okay for us. And then infrastructure and faculty. We cannot train without the quality of the faculty that we have. And so we need that government help nurses and midwives to continue their education, further their education. We need lots of PhD nurses and midwives.
President and co-founder of the Ghana Diaspora Nursing Alliance, Dr. Yvonne Kumodor-Mensah, underscored the importance of knowledge transfer through collaborative efforts between Ghanaian nurses at home and abroad.
There are tens of thousands of Ghanaian nurses and midwives abroad, not just in the US, UK, Canada, Asia, you name it. How do we engage these nurses to help sustainably improve nursing education and practice? And that is what excites me. So in the future, we hope to have more GDNA members, people who believe in our mission and who are passionate about improving healthcare, because it affects all of us. Right? All of us have family and friends here. We come here for holidays, we bring our families here, so we want to make a tangible contribution to our healthcare.
Dr. Daniel Kwame Apo noted that it is imperative to bridge the skill gaps between Ghanaian nursing professionals across the globe, leading to the provision of equal treatment to patients, regardless of their location.
Improve the education, nursing education in Ghana, so that whoever is trained in Ghana will be comparable to someone that's been trained in the UK or in the United States. And by doing so, we hope to improve health outcomes in Ghana. As you can see, we've had a lot of collaborators coming all the way from the United States, from the UK, from Saudi Arabia, to see what we're doing. And the idea is when we go out there, when we reach to them that, hey, this is what we want to do to help with the health outcomes in Ghana, they'll be able to help us as well.
The anniversary celebration will culminate in a fundraising dinner on January 5th, 2025, with proceeds going towards sponsoring needy nurses and midwifery students in the country.
Still on health, the medical director of the police hospital, COP Dr. Samuel Otu Nyako, has revealed that 50 to 60% of primary health cases reported at the hospital can be effectively handled at local level facilities. Dr. Nyako made this observation during the opening of the self-initiated Accra Regional Police Clinic on Thursday, January 2.
Healthcare is essential for police officers who face unique physical and mental challenges in their line of duty. Policing is an inherently demanding profession, requiring officers to maintain peak physical fitness, mental resilience, and the ability to respond to emergencies under high stress. It is for this reason the police hospital is often overwhelmed with cases, including very minor ones. The new clinic aims to decentralize healthcare services within the police service, alleviating the overwhelming pressure on the police hospital and improving accessibility for officers and their families.
So I must say that I again want to thank the regional commander and his team, and also the donor, for this wonderful work that they've done. As the head of the police medical service, after this we are taking it over. We'll take good care of it. We'll make sure that it does not deteriorate. Anytime there's a need to revamp with staff and equipment, will do that.
Dr. Nyako commended the initiative, emphasizing the importance of localized healthcare delivery to enhance efficiency and service delivery within the police force.
If you have a little headache, if you have a small cut, if you are not feeling well, this should be the starting point. Most of the cases can be resolved here. I dare say that 50 to 60% of the cases that come to the police hospital can actually be seen at the periphery, in your own space. So when you sit there, you are comfortable. Normally when people come to the hospital, they see too many people that they are not familiar with. Even if they are not hypertensive, you check their blood pressure and it's way up. You have to let them sit down. Some you have to tell them sweet stories. Some people you have to give ice water before they calm down for you to see the correct state of health.
The event was led by Accra Regional Police Commander DCOP Kwesi Ahen Ano.
Policing is a notable yet demanding profession requiring physical resilience and mental fortitude and emotional stability. To maintain this, accessibility and efficient healthcare is not just a necessity, but it is a right. That is why we are providing this clinic for you today. Today, we celebrate not just the opening of a clinic, but the realization of a vision.
The initiative, a brainchild of the regional commander and his colleagues, marks the first ever self-initiated health project within the Ghana Police Service.
The management and children of the Street Academy are appealing to the government and the general public to support the construction of an AstroTurf to enhance their recreational activities. Management believes that the facility would not only provide a safe space for physical activity, but also foster discipline and mental well-being among the children.
Ghana Union of Traders Association's Heart to Heart Ladies Foundation has donated a variety of essential items worth 35,000 Ghana cedis to the Street Academy, supporting its mission to care for vulnerable children. The donation included food items, toiletries, clothing, and educational materials. Speaking at the event, Hajia Muni Buari, President of the Heart to Heart Ladies Foundation, explains that as traders, they understand the importance of community and solidarity.
This is an academy that has been formed to help the children on the streets, basically. And when you look around the environment here, it's so touchy. We sympathize with the school and the people around. People don't have money to care for their children's school fees and all that, but this school, they are doing very good. The way they are helping the kids, feeding them, we reach out to everybody. Please come on board and help because they need our support. When you look around, the school is not fenced, and that is our problem. We are calling on the general public to support so that we could fence the school and it can be a place that everybody can come here and then have fun with it.
The manager of the Street Academy, Atalate, expressed deep gratitude for the support, noting that the donations would go a long way in addressing some of their immediate needs.
President, it's my mind I wanted to build an AstroTurf here because we have produced a lot of world champions, namely football, boxing, table tennis, hockey. The children are doing very well. So we need our own field to train the children. We told him last year we wanted to build a health case. We now have a hospital here. Now we are talking about the AstroTurf. So we thank them for coming to our aid. And they know they've mentioned names like Tombiko is their president. They go and tell him this is what we are looking forward for. You know, they also come to our aid to make this a very big environment for children.
The event was filled with joyful interactions between the ladies and the children, who showed their appreciation through songs and heartfelt expressions of gratitude.
Do stay with us here on News Tonight to bring you more news shortly. You're welcome back to News Tonight on GHOne TV. We've got business news next. In business this evening, President Nana Akufo-Addo has touted gains made within the last 8 years to shore up Ghana's economy, describing the country as not broke, as some propagandists describe it. Addressing Parliament in his final State of the Nation address, President Akufo-Addo stated that the government had taken decisive action, applying for an IMF support program, the post-COVID-19 program for economic growth, which was implemented in mid-2023. He expressed confidence that the economy has recovered strong and faster than projected, with the crisis now considered over.
We're witnessing the positive outcomes of the painful but yet necessary exercise. The economy is rebounding strongly. Our fiscal position is more stable, and our debt sustainability has significantly improved. These developments have provided a solid foundation for sustained growth and development, ensuring that the sacrifices made by bondholders and other stakeholders will not be in vain, but rather the basis of Ghana's economic revival. Mr. Speaker, the country is not broke. As some propagandists want us to believe. We're handing over the country with gross international reserves of almost $8 billion United States dollars. This is more than the $6.2 billion United States dollars of gross international reserves my administration inherited in 2017.
Well, let's stay on this and engage the banking consultant, Dr. Richmond Echiahene, who joins us now. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Well, as I'm sure you have heard, the President has spoken about the measures taken by his administration to improve the financial sector, and key amongst them, he took us through the banking sector cleanup, describing it as an act of necessity, not a vendetta, not a witch hunt. An exercise that you have previously criticized. What was your assessment of the President's address as it pertains to this?
Well, good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners. It is rather unfortunate that people who will speak the truth will be called propagandists. And the fact speaks for itself. My first point about what the President said, when he took over, the public debt was 29 billion. And currently, we have a debt of 56 billion. We defaulted in our debts in 2022. So basically, we were made bankrupt or were insolvent in 2022, December. So if you tell me that a bankrupt institution or a bankrupt country has come out to turn around, then I have a bit of a challenge. Because the fact speaks for itself. The President was saying that the international reserves has grown from 6.2 to the point of 8 point something, he said. Well, what he's not told the Ghanaians is that since ever we defaulted in December 2022, we haven't paid interest, we haven't paid principal. If we have paid even one principal or an interest, I think there will be no reserves left. So we've gone to structure multilateral debt, we structured the euro debt, we have structured the domestic debt, all under your jurisdiction. And then once somebody can say that the economy is strong. When you took over, inflation was 15%. Today, we have inflation of 3%. When you took over, the CD to the dollar was 44.40. Today, we are talking about 15.75. When you took over, the poverty was 23%. Today, the poverty level is 31%. So if you get all these variables together, and somebody says that the economy is doing well, I don't know which figures, I don't know which variables, I don't know which data he holds.
Now, Dr. Atiahene, the president also said during his address that the economic growth he described as having returned to the pre-COVID trajectory. He quoted a growth rising from 4.8% from the first quarter of 2024 up to 7% the second quarter, and then the third quarter that of 7.2%, and projected this to increase in the years ahead. Are you saying that this picture he's painting is false?
You see, when we talk about economic growth, if you go and read Cote d'Ivoire growth, it will tell you that the real growth is 6.5% over the last 3 years. What the president is talking about, nominal growth. You see, if you don't take inflation and you say you're growing, you're not growing. If your inflation is 23% and you grow even 50%, you are negative growing 3%. So those of us who understand the figures and data, telling us that the economy grew by 7% or whatever, what is your inflation level? Your inflation level is 23. And the real growth is what turns economy around, not the nominal growth. If you go to Ivory Coast has got inflation of 2.3. And last year, they grew real growth. They call it real 6.5%. They performed far and above the inflation prevailing at that time. You are playing below the inflation level, and you call it a growth. It's a nominal growth. Economists will tell you that nominal growth doesn't tell us in it because inflation supersedes your growth. So when you hear the words like that, I've been saying it over and over again. Because people are speaking. Maybe people think that more people are gullible, so they don't understand the real growth and the nominal growth. If you don't grow with inflation down, you're growing in any economy. When they want to talk, they say the real growth is 1% or 2% because they would have factored in inflation. So when I hear those English and figures, and for those of us who read into it, we take it for something else.
Very finally, Dr. Atiahene, briefly, the president also said that now we are witnessing what he described as positive outcomes following the debt restructuring exercise, which he described as painful yet necessary. What's your assessment of that?
You know, the debt restructuring is, I think, the whole Africa. I think if you take Argentina and you take Greek, Ghana is on further. And any country that goes into this set of debt restructuring, if you don't take it, it becomes a part of your growth. Today, if you go to Argentina, as I speak to you, we have gone to IMF looking for a bailout of $2 billion. And it all started like ours have started. So if care is not taken, I will go on restructuring, because if you look at your inflows, I can off my head tell you the inflows. Cocoa gives you about 1.2 billion. Gold gives you 1.4 billion. But meanwhile, the remittances will give you 2.8 billion. Meanwhile, next year, you need to pay down 2 billion pool to both the bilateral and the euro bonds. Meanwhile, you haven't also tackled about the domestic bonds, because that would also impact on your revenue. So when people say that it is a blessing, but who took us to that level? It has never happened in the state of Ghana. I have never seen any government taking such a painful situation. So if people talk about maybe I'll take it for them that people see what we see. Because as a pensioner, a bondholder, there's no way anybody can convince me.
Very well. I mean, points are clearly made there. Thank you, Dr. Richmond Atiahene, joining us on that issue. You're watching News Tonight. We've got sports news next. In sports this evening, not rest players on Sunday's match against Manchester United side in poor form.
Of course, I'm not going to plan to rest any player because it's a big game, and I think
Stories all available on our website, starfm.com.gh. And that's how we wrap up News Tonight this evening. Many thanks to you for making the time. It was produced by Lily Mohammed, directed by Benini. I'm Natalie Fort. Have a restful evening.